Part B, SQL with clause and the primary index. Yeah. The index topic we leave after Thanksgiving break, so we only do the first half. B.1, oh, yeah, the light, yeah, too bright, yeah. Okay, good, a little better, yeah. B.1, SQL with clause, yeah. So sometimes, yeah, because our SQL queries could be very complicated. Yeah. So this, our last assignment, you will see. Some queries could be very complicated. Why so complicated? Because when you do analysis on the relationship, nested queries. So all those queries are nested queries. Sometimes the relationship, several different inner queries, there are some correlationship, So when you work on them, you feel very messy, very messy. So we want to find a way to organize our intermediate data. Here, there is a special way to do it. This SQL with clause allows us to define some temporary tables, okay? So not the final table. Yeah. The final table, the final result should be stored in the final table, right? But when we get the final table, we need to prepare our data, arrange our data, And some of the intermediate data we should store somewhere temporarily. Yeah. Because if we do it all at the same time, too complicated. Yeah. Now, there is one way, using temporary tables that way. With clause allows us to define several, not just one. If you need more than one temporary tables, you can define several temporary tables. Yeah. Then, when you use these temporary tables in your main query, because at the end you need to write your main query. Then you just use the temporary tables as the normal table. So you join tables. But the intermediate data already stored in those temporary tables. So then you work on the temporary tables, much easier. So that's this important technique. Now let me describe the syntax, how to use this with clause. The goal simplifies complex SQL queries. How to simplify? So let's see. How define temporary tables or result sets. Sometimes people use this terminology, result sets, as the query result. That can be reused multiple times. That's another important. Reused multiple times. So here, we can also use our experience in programming language to understand this technique. When we write our programs, we frequently use temporary variables to store intermediate data, right? That's very normal. Variables to store temporary data. So then we can reuse those variables later in other places. Here, each temporary table, we can treat it as a temporary variable. All right? So it stores some data. And later, in our main query, we need to use those variables. Yeah. They work like variables, yeah. Temporary tables. Yeah. Reuse. And many times you can reuse multiple times. Yeah. Just like using variables, you can use multiple times. Yeah. But here you can see the simplification. Yeah. You use it multiple times, you can see the simplification point. What's that? If you do not use this temporary table way, when you need to use certain query result multiple times, how do you do it? People just rewrite those same query multiple times. That's not efficient. Same query. Yeah. So you just basically you copy the same query in several different places. That's not efficient. Yeah. Here, because after you store it in a temporary table, you do not need to do the same query more than one time, right? Yeah, because second time you just get the data from this temporary table directly. Yeah, so this is another advantage of this method. Yeah, so the overall performance will be faster. Yeah. Because you do not need to do redundant queries. Yeah. One query you only need to do once. Yeah. Internal, inner query. Yeah. Usually, some inner queries you may need to do more than once. Yeah. In that situation, you remove the redundancy using this way. Yeah. All right. Now let's look at the syntax. The benefit. It improves readability, yeah, because now it's not messy. Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, you write one query containing a lot of structures nested here, there, too complicated. So the readability is poor. Yeah. Here you separate. Okay? Yeah, you separate. So the first part, you do preparation. You prepare those temporary tables. Those temporary tables usually are relatively simple. Simple queries. Yeah. So after that, then you use those temporary tables in your main query. Yeah. The structure also much simpler, yeah, than one big complex query. Yeah. Yeah. So the readability will be better, all right, and enhance performance. Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the benefits. All right. Yeah. But there is another name for this technique, yeah, also known as common table expressions, CTEs. Yeah. Sometimes, some people call using, this terminology. Yeah. All right. Okay. Syntax here. Yeah. All right. So here, let me show you using, some pseudocode. Yeah. Show you the syntax. Let me explain the pseudocode. Yeah. The keyword with, you start with the keyword with, yeah, with clause, yeah, to define temporary table, right? The first part, definition of your temporary table. So you give a name of the temporary table. So here, temporary table, yeah, just appropriate name. All right. Then, yeah, the result, what result you want to store in this temporary table. Yeah. Inside the parenthesis, that's your query result, inner query. Yes. Yeah. If we do not use this way, we need to do some inner query. Yeah. So you take out that inner query. So you put here. Select average salary from employee. Yeah. So that's the, intermediate data. All right. Then you store in this table under this table name, but you also need to give a column name, right? Yeah. So you have this temporary table result. But how do you refer to the data in the temporary table? You need a column name. Okay? Yeah. So inside the parenthesis, average value, this is the name, reference name of the column. Okay? Yeah. So here, the way we do here, yeah. Let me explain this part. Yeah. Inside the parenthesis. Yeah. Inside parenthesis, yeah. So it is we can treat as alias. Yeah. So, we can treat it as alias of this column. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Alias. Yeah. Because we use alias to, access the data. Yeah. Yeah. Because this way, we can use the alias way to write. Okay? Yeah, so this way, the same as this way. Okay? Yeah. I write equivalent. Yeah. So with, then I just write temporary table. Yeah. Yeah. Here, let me just write temp table. Yeah. Then I do not use parentheses. Okay? I do not use parentheses. All right. As, definition of the, the data part. Then, in my select statement, AVG, salary, okay, salary, as, right? Yeah, because we can define alias, okay? Alias, yeah. Yeah, let me use AVG that, for example, okay? So let me define here, yeah, from employee. Yeah, the same thing. Okay, same thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So your understanding is the same thing. Yeah. If you define alias, then you do not need to use this way. Okay. All right. Yeah. But if you use parentheses, yeah, yeah, then your understanding just the point as the alias. Okay. And sometimes your select statement you may have multiple columns, right? Multiple, column 1, column 2, column 3, multiple. And here inside parentheses, you can use the, parameter 1-to-1 correspondence, okay? Alias. Yeah. So you treat them as the aliases. 1-to-1 correspondence, okay? Yeah. In that way. All right. Then, this is our main query. Yeah, here. Now we can use this temporary table. All right. Select employee ID, name, salary. All right. Yeah. Join two tables. From table 1, employee table. Table 2, temporary table. Okay. Temporary table, you just use it as our normal table. Yeah. It has a table name, the data inside, and the alias. You just use it as a normal table. Okay. All right. So now it's a inner join, right? From employee, comma, temporary table. This is the way we write inner join, right? Yeah. Here there is no join condition. You do not see join condition. Yeah, don't worry. No join condition, we do Cartesian product, right? Yeah. Cartesian product. But this table, you only have one column. So for Cartesian product, you just pack that one column attached to the employee table. Yeah? Employee table. You attach to it. Yeah? Because only one column. If you have multiple columns, then you need to do Cartesian product. All the possible combination ways. Yeah. But it's just the one. Okay? One column, one row. So, yeah, yeah. No. One row. One row. Yeah. 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 Not because of one column, because of one row. Yeah. Because average function, you apply average function on all the salaries of the employees. The return result is one row, right? One salary number, one average number. So one row, your Cartesian product, you attach the same number to all the rows of the employee table. One row. If you have two rows, then you use the first row, you attach. Then you use second row, you attach. You need to attach twice. One row, you just attach once. All right? Yeah. All right. So you understand in that way. So you can join. Without join condition, no problem. Yeah. Then the selection condition. Selection condition. Employee dot salary greater than the temporary table dot average value. So the alias, so you can access that value. Yeah. So you know the meaning of this query. Yeah. Yeah. So you want to get all those employees who have the salaries higher than the average salary. Well, that's the meaning. Use this way. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. All right. This query question is relatively simple. Yeah. It's simple. Yeah. Because you can replace this part by an inner query, right? You can replace this, this part by this inner query directly, right? Yeah. Here. Okay? You can copy. Yeah. In that way, you do not use temporary table. Okay? All right. But you copy that here. Yeah. All right? Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. You can do that. Yeah. Yeah. Because this query result only return one number, so you can do that. Okay? Yeah. Greater than. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, more than one number, you can also do that, right? So we learned that this greater than. If you have multiple rows, then greater than all, right? Remember? If more than one, you have greater than all operator. Yeah, we learned that before. Composite operator. Yeah, greater than all. But here, just one number. Yeah, you can do greater than. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Here you can see. Yeah. The reason is when we have some inner query, yeah, that especially when those inner queries make the whole query look very complicated, so then we may like to, do preparation to do those inner queries first. Yeah. After that, then we just use the query results from those inner queries. Yeah. All right, so that's the first example. Yeah. Let me give you another example. All right. All right. Multiple temporary tables. Yeah. This example, we have two temporary tables. The first one, total salary, airline, total. You have two columns. Okay? Yeah. All right. Two columns. Here your understanding is the alias of first alias. Okay? Sum. Yeah. Sum. Yeah. Second alias. Okay? Yeah. Then. Yeah. And this one, airline average, one column, okay? Alias, in that way. Okay, all right. So your preparation, you prepare intermediate data in these two temporary tables. Then you write your main query. Select airline. Yeah. All right. Yeah, because here the alias, right? Alias. Airline from first temporary table, total salary. Second temporary table, airline average. All right. Then So you join, so this table join, because your second temporary table, you only have one row, right? Yeah, one row. Average salary of the whole pilot table. One row. The first temporary table, you have multiple rows, right? Multiple rows. Yeah. Yeah. Group by airline. The airline table, you have multiple airlines. Yeah. We expect to have multiple airlines. Yeah. So the multiple rows. Yeah. Then you attach the second temporary table, because one row, you just attach that one row to all the rows of the first table. Yeah, simple attachment. Okay? All right. Then you apply this condition. Yeah. Total salary dot total, that means, yeah, because this total means the total of each airline. Okay? The total salary of each airline. Okay? All right. Greater than airline average dot average salary. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. 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 So that example. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So that's multiple table was the structure are pretty straightforward. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Another example. Yeah. So this our own example, company example. All right. List those project numbers for which there are maximum number of employees working on the projects. First, let's try to understand this statement. Yeah. All right. Try to understand this statement. List project numbers. Yeah. Yeah. Then the condition. What condition? For which, for those project numbers, there are maximum number of employees working on these projects. Okay? All right. Let's imagine, okay? Project 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, a list of project numbers. For each project, how many employees working on this project? There should be a number, right? Yeah. Second project, the number of employees. Yeah. So you should have certain number of employees working on each project. You have a list of numbers, employee numbers, number of employees. All right. Among those numbers, there must be the maximum one, right? Yeah. There is a maximum one. All right. And especially when there are a maximum number, there is a possibility you may have multiple projects with the same maximum number, right? Yeah. Because the maximum number, that number may be repeated several times. And you need to retrieve all those projects with the same maximum number. That's the understanding. Okay? Yeah. Here, this question, you can see, if we do not use this temporary table way, not that easy. Yeah, not that easy. Yeah, because we need to do too many things in one single query statement. Yeah, that's relatively hard. Because first, think about how many things do we need to do. First, we need to count number of employees for each project. Yeah, the first thing we need to do. Second, after we count, so we get a result. Okay, then we need to find the maximum of those numbers. Maximum. Okay, the second part. Then after that, the third part. Then, so those projects, so the employee counting number equals this maximum we select. Okay, we need to do these three things in one single table. That's relatively hard, right? Yeah. Now we use this temporary table. Each time we do not do too many things. Each time we do, one or two things. Yeah, one or two things. Then, yeah, the last one, so we can, yeah, so let me show you the solution. All right. Yeah, so this answer, the first one, without using with, yeah, we can do it, we can make it without using with clause. Yeah, so I show you. Then we will use the with clause way, so you can see the difference. You can compare difference. All right. Select. Yeah. Here you can see we need to use works on table. Okay. Yeah. Works on table contains the information, the project number. Okay, and number of employees working on. Yeah. So that's enough. So the good thing is here we just need a works on table. Okay? Yeah. Not many, yeah, because, all right. Well, works on table, now we select project number, comma, and we need to count number of employees. Okay? We need to count number of employees. Yeah. So the counting part, all right, yeah, works on. Then group by project number. Now, each project number we define as a subgroup. Okay? Project 1 subgroup, project 2 subgroup. Yeah. So group by. Yeah. All right. Then after group by, we use the having clause. Remember? Having clause, we can apply condition on each group. On each group. Yeah. After you define group, you can use having clause. Yeah. Because you need to apply certain condition. Okay? Yeah. Certain condition. Yeah. All right? Yeah. All right. So here, what condition? Yeah. PEN alias, the counting number PEN equals inner query. So there is an inner query. Okay? All right. Select max because, yeah, so here, yeah, all right. This inner query here, we give an alias of this table, yeah, inner query. Because we need to refer some of the fields in this inner query, yeah. So this inner query, we define it as a temporary table. TP, temporary, E, all right, yeah, just the alias. Alias refers to this whole inner query, all right. Then max TP dot EN. Yeah, because this counting number is the alias of the counting number. Okay? Yeah. But you apply max function on these counting numbers, right? Yeah. You apply max function on the counting numbers. So you get a maximum counting number. Yeah. So this simple way, you get a maximum counting number. Yeah. All right? Yeah. So yeah. So here you can see another inner query. From clause. In the from clause, all right, so from this table, group by, this table, group by, yeah, okay, yeah, as this temporary table, yeah. So the maximum, okay, the maximum counting number, yeah, all right. Then the current counting number should be equal to the maximum counting number. Yeah? So that's in the having clause. Okay? Yeah. So in this way. All right. Now, yeah, because we want to make it simpler. Yeah. Yeah. Although this is not too complicated. Yeah. So we can handle it. Yeah. But it's nice to separate. Yeah. Separate inner query, outer query. Yeah. Now let's use the with clause to write it. Yeah. The new solution. New solution. Let's define temporary table. Okay. The first one using with clause to define. Table name, non-employee project. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Number of employees by project. Project number. Okay. All right. So group by, yeah. So the same table, but this table, we store the query result in this temporary table, yeah, as, yeah. All right, yeah. So here you can see after the table name, after this table name, we didn't use the parentheses to define aliases. Yeah. Yeah. So we didn't use the parentheses to define aliases. Yeah. If you do not do that, that's easy. This name is used. Okay. The field name is used. This one because you have an alias. Okay. Yeah. So you have no problem. You don't need to define new aliases. You just use the, natural reference names. Okay. Natural reference names. Yeah. All right. That's your temporary table. Now let's do our main query. Okay. Yeah. Pinot. Yeah. Pinot. Yeah. So yeah, because this. All right. So this time you just use the temporary table. Yeah. Temporary table. Yeah. Yeah. I think this probably should be the capital P, right? Because this is the same as that one. Okay. Yeah. All right. So the project number, then this counting number, all right, PN, then where the condition, yeah, this time you can use where clause to specify a condition, right? Yeah. Then this time you apply the max function on this temporary table. See? Temporary table here, temporary table here. You use temporary table 2 places, right? 2 places, okay? 2 places. Our old solution, 2 places, do you basically copy the same query twice, right? See? Yeah, this query, and here, you copy the same query twice, okay? But here, after we define the temporary table, we just use the result of this temporary table. Yeah? We use the result by names. Okay? We do not really need to do the specific query, right? Yeah, we do the specific query only once here. Yeah, but when we need to use this result, we just copy. All right, copy. All right. So this solution, if you run it, not as fast as the new solution. Why? Because you need to do one query here, and this inner query you need to do another specific query. Yeah. Basically, the same query you need to do twice. Yeah. Yeah. Here, only once, and just copy the same data. Okay, copy the same data. See? Yeah. So that's the, improvement. Using this way, you can improve efficiency, performance. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so that's this version. But there is another version also works. Yeah, slightly different version. I also show you. Yeah. Similar to, but one place slightly different. Yeah, I put the version here. Yeah. All right. The definition the same. The only thing difference is this where clause. We use the having clause. Yeah. Having clause, it also works. Yeah. If we use the having clause, it also works. Yeah. Why? So let me explain. Yeah. Having clause is used to specify the condition after the group by clause, right? Group by, you apply it on the subgroups. Okay? On the subgroups. Yeah. And here you don't have the group by clause. If you don't have the group by clause, actually the whole table is treated as one big subgroup, one big group. So when you apply condition, you only have one big subgroup, so this condition is applied on that single subgroup. Yeah. So logically, no problem. Yeah. So this way, yeah. So the whole table is treated as one group. Yeah, apply. So that's the, but the internal meaning different. Yeah. But for this example, yeah, so these two ways, both ways work. Yeah. All right. Yeah, all right. Yeah. So in our homework assignment number 3, we have many questions like this one. Yeah. We use a lot of aggregate functions. Count, max, sum, average, aggregate functions. Yeah. So then, in the nested query, maximum, minimum, yeah, similar to this example. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. So we summary. Yeah. All right. So this method, the SQL with clause, good when we use complex SQL statement rather than simple one. Yeah, simple we do not need. Yeah. Nested. Yeah. Also allows us to break down complex SQL queries into smaller ones, which make it easy for debugging and processing the complex. Yeah, debugging. So each inner query. Yeah, let's do testing first. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. With SQL with clause is basically a drop-in replacement to the normal subquery. Yeah, drop-in. Yeah. That place, yeah. The table name, temporary table name, you can just copy that the definition of the inner query there, right? Yeah. So several places. Yeah. All right. The SQL with clause can significantly improve query performance by allowing query optimizer. Query optimizer. What's that query optimizer? Yeah. Inside DBMS, in order to make the queries running faster, there is an optimizer. Okay. Try to improve the structure. Yeah. So based on special algorithms to make it faster. So there is a query optimizer inside DBMS to reuse the temporary result set, reducing the need to re-evaluate complex subqueries multiple times. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the. All right. So that's the first topic with clause. Yeah. First topic. All right. Next, I need to go to the another important web technology called AJAX. Yeah. AJAX. Yeah. In W3 schools, there is a tutorial, so you can study. Yeah. So here I'll give you a short introduction. wschools.com. So if you want to get more information, you can go there. I'll give you short introduction. Yeah. And in this project, we use this technique. Yeah. In the sample project, I'll give it to you. We already use this technique. Yeah. All right. Let me explain. Yeah. Why? So this technology is, there is many advantages. All right. Yeah. So it's we can treat as a sub-technology inside JavaScript. Yeah. 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 It is, one sub-technology inside JavaScript technology. Okay. All right. So it has some important purpose for this technology. Yeah. Read data from a web server after page is loaded. Yeah. Here, there is a page loading. Yeah. So here, we are talking about page loading. You need to load the page, right? Yeah, it's a page. Yeah. So here, the thing is, think about the situation. After we load the page, then our users need to do actions on the current page, right? Yeah. And those users' actions may result in some changes on the page. Yeah? Yeah. After some actions, then the data needs to be changed, updated, okay, on the page. So the question is, when you update the data on a page, do you want to reload the page? If you do not reload the page, how do you see the change? Okay? How do you see the change? Yeah. So here, AJAX solved this problem. So let me write this way. Without this AJAX technology, I will explain the meaning of this AJAX later. Without AJAX, we need to reload the page, whenever it is modified. Okay? Yeah. Otherwise, you cannot see the change, right? If you do not reload it, you cannot see the change. Yeah. Right. But page reloading sometimes could be very slow. Could be slow. Yeah. You reload page if your page contains a lot of data, many images especially, then page reloading takes some time. Okay? Yeah. And the user experience is not good. Yeah. So this technology allows us update a web page without reloading the page. That's the biggest advantage of this technology. Yeah. Yeah. How do you update a page without reloading the page? Yeah. That's interesting. Okay? That's interesting. Yeah. So the idea is pretty simple. Yeah. All right. So the idea, let me draw a simple diagram to show you. Okay? All right. So this is the from page. From page, at the client side, right? At the web browser client side. Then, when you need to update the page, you need to do communication at the server side, right? Oops, sorry. You need to do communication at the server side. Because how do you upload the page, right? Update the page. You need to use information from the server side, right? Yeah. So you need to communicate with the server to tell you how to update the page. Yeah, basically like that. Yeah. Yeah. Do communication. All right. So here, the idea is there is a special object is responsible for the communication. There is a special JavaScript object. Okay? Yeah? Because when you do communication, you need to send and receive data, right? So one special object. You need to create that object, okay, in your JavaScript function, and use it to do the communication. Yeah. After that, you just follow the syntax. You can send the data and receive data. Then you use JavaScript functions to update your page. Update the portion. You only need to update one portion of the page. Other parts you do not need to touch. Okay? Only do modification on the part that you need to modify it. That's enough. So in this way, no page reloading. You can make the updates. Yeah. Send data to the web server in the background. Yeah. So that object does the communication. Yeah. All the detailed, lower level communication things in the background. So you don't worry. Yeah. So that's the idea. All right. All right. Then AJAX. Let me explain the name a little bit. A refers to asynchronized. Yeah. So not synchronized, asynchronized, okay? Yeah. J, JavaScript, okay? Yeah. And A, yeah, because the people who created try to use some existing name, right? AJAX existing name. Yeah. So JavaScript, then that A and. So the second A is and, because those people want to use existing name. Yeah. Okay. The last X, XML. Yeah. Because this last X refers to XML. Yeah. Because at that time, you know, yeah, the communication object is based on, you know, related to XML. That's communication object. Okay, yeah, that's the name. Yeah, it's actually it's a pretty old technology. Yeah, so it was created early 2000. Yeah, year 2000, early times of year 2000. Approximately at that time. Yeah. Yeah. But very useful. Yeah. Because for the users, they can get a much faster response for page modifications. Now, when you do page modifications from the user's point of view, much faster. Here, I'll give you two examples using AJAX technology, so in our everyday life. Yeah. The first one, Google search. When you search, you type keywords in the search bar, a list of suggestions provided, right? How to get a list of suggestions using AJAX? Okay. Because when you type character by character, the communication object already send character by character to the server side. The server side use those partial string to search their database. Okay, then send you back a list of suggestions. So then you get a list of suggestions. You can choose from the list. So that's AJAX. This way you can see you do not need to do page reloading. So when you type, already communication starts. Okay? Data transmission already happens behind the scene. Okay? Yeah, so this is the first successful application. Second, Google Map. When you view a map, okay, different locations, you use your mouse cursor, drag to see different places of the map. Yeah. So the server needs to send the map data to your web browser when you move your mouse, right? Yeah. That's by AJAX. Because you do not reload the page. You work on the same page. You never reload the page. Yeah. But the page, the data changes. Yeah. So when you move your mouse cursor, the coordinates of your mouse cursor is sent to the server. The server uses that coordinates, okay, to determine so which area on the page, then that area, that position corresponds to what part of the map, okay? So the server does that calculation, then send you the corresponding map data back. So you use the return the map data to update your map, the view part of your map. Okay? Yeah. So you can see this technology, it's a very old technology, but so useful. Yeah. All right. So in our project, our edit feature, we click the button, we retrieve. Edit feature, we use AJAX. Okay? We do not reload the page. Okay? So we use the special communication object to, send a request to the server. The server return the data of the current row. We update that portion of on the page. We make the change. No reloading. No page reloading. our update feature, we use the AJAX. Update, we do not reload the page. We send the new data, updated data to the server, and the server update the data in the table. Yeah. So these two features, we use AJAX. All right. Then, let me talk about the detail. I mentioned that special communication object. This is the name. The object must have a special name. This is the, the name of that communication object. You can see related to XML. Okay, yeah. Because XML currently, most people do not use it. Okay, most people, it's rarely used. It's a very old technology. The reason most people don't like to use XML, it's too complicated. Yeah. It is very powerful. It can store the structured data. XML can use the tree structure to organize data. Yeah. The tree, different levels, parent, child, all the level, very complicated. So XML can store that kind of data. But too complicated, okay? Yeah. So when you work on the XML data, so you need to use a lot of, special, third-party packages, too complicated. So most programmers hate that technology. Yeah. So currently, to store structured data, people used JSON. Yeah. JSON much simpler, the JavaScript object. Much simpler, yeah, but can store structured data. So you can organize the, using the JSON key value pairs way. Yeah, yeah, easier than the tree structure. Okay, tree, you have a root, then different levels. Yeah. Yeah. The JSON way, array. Yeah, basically using this array way. Yeah, key value pair array way. All right. Yeah, yeah. But this object name, yeah, it is used. All right. So this object first, when you need to use it, you need to create that object. Yeah, very simple. You just use one line to create that object. Okay. After that, you use that object to do communication. Okay. You need to define a callback function. Now, because after you receive the data from the server, you need to modify your page. That's what you need to do in the callback function. Okay. Yeah. So you write a definition of that callback function. Okay. Yeah. So usually, that callback function is an anonymous function. No function name. Yeah, anonymous function. Yeah, you do not need the name of that function. You just write the definition of that function. You use it once, only once. Yeah, here. So a callback function as anonymous function. Yeah. Then you need to do communication. Communication, these two steps. Open the object. When you open, yeah, you start a communication. Yeah. When you open this object, you need to specify URL. Okay, yeah? URL for the server side. Data processing file. Yeah. You need to pass that URL, data processing file. Yeah? Because the server side, there is one data processing file need to do the data processing for your request. Okay? You send a request. Yeah? Yeah. So this file needs to do the data processing for your request. Okay? Then send a request. Yeah. So yeah. Send request to server. Then there is a possible result returned. Yeah. Sometimes no result. Yeah. because you only want to change. For example, you only want to make a data change at the server side. You do not need to do other things. Right? You do not need to return result. For example, our update feature. When we update, we send new data to the server side. Do we need a return? We don't need a return, right? Yeah. After the update, we don't not need the server send some data back. Yeah. We are done. Okay. We don't need a return. Yeah. But for edit, we need a return, right? So we send a request. We want to retrieve all the data of the current row. So we are waiting for the data to be sent back. Yeah. But for update, we don't need the data sent back. Okay? All right. So then your callback function will update your page if necessary. Yeah. Sometimes it updates your page. Sometimes it does not need to update your page. Yeah. Okay? All right. That's the, here, let me use our editing feature part to explain how to use this technology, AJAX. This is editing part, okay? The button, edit this row, update this row. These two functions, both, we use AJAX to do the communication. Yeah. Yeah. Next page, I only show you the edit, yeah, because update is a similar way, okay? All right. Yeah, last time I already mentioned we passed 3 parameters. The first parameter, second parameter, third parameter. First two parameters, okay? See, yeah. First 2 parameters, yeah, let's recall a little bit. Column index 0, column index 1, because we use the first 2 columns of this current row. $J is the row number. So we use the first 2 columns, that 2 data, to identify. Yeah? When you edit a row, how do you identify the current row? How do you tell the server-side data processing file which row I want to retrieve? Okay? Yeah. All right. Yeah. Because in our 5 tables, yeah, remember our university database. Here we are working on university database. Yeah. And there are 5 tables there. Okay? T1, T2, T3, T4, and T5. All right? The first tables, they have primary keys. Each table has a primary keys. Key. But these last 2 have no primary key. No primary key. Okay? If no primary key, how do you identify those rows? The first 3 tables, you can use the primary keys to identify. 2 tables, no primary key, so we have to identify the rows. So we use the data from the first 2 columns. Yeah. So how do you know? We study by observation. So we look at the details of the tables. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We figure out, based on the columns field, yeah, the first data of the first 2 columns is enough to identify all the rows. All the rows in all these 5 tables, yeah, because we want to do one way. One way. We want to use a unified way to handle the data of all 5 tables. This is unified way to, do the change data access for all 5 tables. Yeah. All right? Yeah. So 3 parameters. Now let's move to the definition of this edit this row function. You can see how we use the AJAX to do the communication. All right. Yeah. Yeah, I try to use the remaining time to complete. All right. So this slide, yeah, so that's the whole function, the definition of whole function, one screen we can cover. Okay. First three lines, yeah, the first line create the object, right? The communication object. Yeah, we just use the standard way, right? Then second, we need to get the data, the table number. So remember, yeah, here, I store, I remember several lectures ago, I explained we use the hidden input element. So where to store this? There is an input element on the page, but the type, input type equals hidden. So you cannot see the element, yeah, the name, sorry, not the name, yeah, ID, right? Because we access by ID. So the ID of this element, we use MN. Then there is a value. Yeah. Appropriate value we put here, okay? Yeah. Yeah. So here, to get MN value, we use this line to retrieve the data stored temporarily in this hidden element. Okay? Yeah? So the second. Yeah, because we need to pass the table information. Which table? Yeah, this MN give us the way to pass the table. MN. All right. Then we can form our URL. Yeah? When you do communication, which data processing file you want to use at the server side. This URL, we need that, pass that information. Okay? The program at the server side, we will use get data by row.php. All right? Then we need to pass appropriate parameters to this program. So here we need to pass three parameters. Parameter 1, parameter 2, parameter 3 to this program. How to pass? After the question mark. That's the parameter part. Okay? Yeah. So you use question mark to separate, okay, the program part and the parameter part. The parameter part, first parameter, you need to give a name. We call it FD1, field 1. Okay? FD1 refers to field 1. Equals, then the value X, the first parameter. So you get it from the first parameter of the function, okay? X. Ampersand to separate different parameter. You use ampersand sign, symbol, to separate different parameters. Ampersand, after ampersand, the name of your second parameter. FD2 equals Y, okay? Y. Then ampersand, your third parameter. Parameter name is called MN equals that the value, value from here, okay? All right. But this U, the row number you will use to update your page. U is the row number. Update the page. All right. Then object reference dot unload equals, you define anonymous function, callback function. Yeah, no name. This function has no name. Yeah. It's a callback function. So, all right. Yeah. So that you update the page. Yeah. So then open the communication object dot open. You use get method. Remember post method, get method. So here we use get method. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Get method. You pass the URL. Then choose some specific meaning. Yeah. All right. Then dot send it to the server. Then the server, after it receives the request, then process the request. Yeah, our next slide. Oh, I do not have a lot of time. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, because I can use videos, the remaining part, because I plan to do one example on the negation approach. Targeting your homework question. Yeah. So I may record some videos. All right. Yeah. So now you send the request to the server side. Then the server side, after do some processing, I may need to use a video to explain. All right. Then send it back. The data that is sent back is called the response text. Yeah. So this property contains the data returned from the server. So this page, right? Yeah. This dot response text dot split, JavaScript split function. Yeah. These things. Yeah. Because I cannot complete it. Yeah. All right. So let me use use videos to complete. Okay. Yeah. So let's stop here. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So then posting homework assignment this weekend. Yeah. Tomorrow Friday. Yeah. Tomorrow Friday I can start editing my questions. Yeah. So then this weekend, as early as possible, I try to post as early as possible. Yeah. But after Thanksgiving break, you still have one week to do it. So you have at least 2 weeks to complete this assignment. Yeah. Thanksgiving break, then another week after Thanksgiving. Yeah. So you should have plenty of time on this assignment. All right. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.